Are you accidentally offending your audience without even realizing it? It's possible. I'm Jennifer Maxwell and I'm a clarity coach, and I help inspired, multi-passionate entrepreneurs pull all of their wacky ideas into a streamlined business that actually gains traction. And inside of that mission in my life is helping inspired entrepreneurs, which have sometimes a lot of feelings, emotions, opinions, stay focused so that you don't get off track and accidentally offend the very audience you're trying to serve, especially in these really turbulent times. So let's talk about some of the key strategies you can do. Listen, I am all for speaking your truth, living your truth, and having an aligned and authentic life. However, there are some things that are not meant for inside the business conversation. So if sometimes things are simply opinions, and they can be misguided or misunderstood or misjudged. So having, almost like a politician, you want to understand what your talking points are when you present yourself to the public. This may be different if you are inside of a coaching group, but the messages that we're sending out en masse need to be congruent, and you need to be a little bit careful that you are sending the right messages. So let's just unpack that for a second here. There's a great quote, and I actually don't know who said it first. Sometimes people say it's Buddha, sometimes people say it's Rumi, sometimes people say it's somebody else. I don't even know. I'm looking at Alan Redpath. I don't even know. There's so many people, and I don't know who the actual person is that said this, but the quote goes like this: before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? So those are 3 great strategies, but I'm going to assert that there's a 4th one, and probably more importantly, the other filter that you need to consider when you are discussing really important things and I have to look at my notes because I'm not going to lie, I struggle with this because most people that are entrepreneurs, we have a lot to say. We have a lot of opinions. We are constantly in flux with our emotions and feelings, and we want to share our thoughts, and it can get us into trouble. So I have to write this down and let me look at it so I don't get it wrong. Okay. When I post things, I'm conscious to ask myself, is there anything inside of this post that could be divisive, insightful, hurtful, or cause some lack of clarity? What you never want to do, and here's the bigger thing, is cause people to have a reaction. Unless you're trying to poke the bear to, deconstruct a way of thinking or looking at something so that somebody can grow and learn. But that's very different than simply sharing your opinion, which may be a different opinion from somebody else. And depending on their ability to take that information in, disassemble it a little bit and make sense of it, and then come back with perhaps a constructive thought, sometimes what we're doing is causing our audience to go into reaction mode. And there are 2 critical areas that we need to note that we can fall into. One of them is reaction mode, and I'm going to put my little chart up beside me here so that you can see what I'm talking about. There are really 2 ways: reactive and creative, and those are really the 2 areas that we will be in. You cannot be in both of them at once. Reactive mode is really when things hit us through social media, through news, through poor relationships. That's where arguments happen, discord, and anything that causes internal upset. This is a cyclical downward spiral, and it takes us out of the more critical and important zone of genius, which is your creation mode or creative mode. And then we need to think about what happens inside the creative mode. Well, first of all, you need time to think so that you can create. Inside that thinking, those big ideas come. And inside those big ideas offer action steps. We filter it through our business. Does it add value? Does it not add value? And then we can build action steps inside of that. This is the place we want to be in, creation mode, more than anything. Because when we're posting things that are opinions that may not be true, that could be offensive, that you're actually poking reaction from people. And when you poke reaction and they have a strong response and it isn't said with a sense of openness or a place of dialogue, you actually cause people to go into a spiral and a downward spiral, which will in turn have people reject what you are saying. Not just reject your messages, just reject you. They'll be like, that's it, I'm unfollowing this person. They can't add value to my life. And I've seen it happen. I've watched it, recently on social media platforms. The way it landed for people was the absolute opposite. And it worked against this person. And you think, well, good, get rid of those people that don't really, get on board. But there's a difference here, because when you are leading people inside of your business, what you're trying to do is teach people to have, to be better. When you are leading people inside your audience, typically it's to be a better version of yourself. So sometimes, even though our opinions are screaming, you may notice the people you respect the most say very little, or they say things in a way that are always open and inclusive and open to dialogue and conversation, which is very different than taking a hard statement. Because when you do black and white, right or wrong, you're going to possibly and very likely be offending a large portion of your audience that may not understand the subtle nuances to why you think the way you think. So that was a heavy topic today, and I came on to share this because it is something that most people struggle with, myself included, especially during all these really turbulent times. So I hope that this helps. This is the rule that I have to I have to write it down. That's how important it is. I have to remind myself, okay, stick to your talking points. What is important? How does this help your audience be better in their business and life? Is it divisive? Could it actually strengthen your brand or ruin your reputation? And really, is it the truth or is it an opinion? And both are valid, but some just may not be important to share necessarily, unless it's something that completely aligns with your business, like standing in your truth or authentic living or whatever it might be. Even so, living authentically, there's a sense of autonomy about that, right? What I do is important to me, and this is my choice, and I respect your choices. So that's the kind of difference that living inside your truth and living authentically can mean versus, here's a hard line, take it or leave it. And that is for sure a way to really unintentionally offend your audience, and you don't want to do that. So I hope that was helpful for you today. Let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and let me know your thoughts about whether this is really an important note, or you're like, oh, I couldn't care less if I lose half my audience. I'd rather not be surrounded with people that don't think like me anyway. Or what are your thoughts? I really would love to hear your feedback, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.